Return the slime. Get out. Return the slime. Get out. Return the slime. Get out. Return the slime.
No, please! No! It goes without saying that Courage the Cowardly Dog has traumatized an entire generation. As we all know, there are two things that Courage don't play about: Muriel and anyone speaking ill on his name. You can't spell courage without rage. He bout that life. Muriel's the one who named him.
What courage you have.
She knows he got that dog in him. Respect his name. If there's one thing about Courage, is that he's gonna find the courage to throw hands. He might be scared, but I promise you he ain't no punk. Cause when all hope is lost, all he needs is 5 minutes on his sassy ass computer. The OG Googler.
Eating people, ugly teeth, search, search, search!
Ah, you're such a lousy typist.
Oh yeah, thanks a lot!
If Courage taught me anything, it was you can be scared and still handle business. Panic, cry, scream, crash out if you need to, but lock in. Today, I'll be talking about 2 episodes with villains that are commonly regarded to be one of the scariest characters in the show. This episode begins with Courage and his family standing by a wilting flower while Muriel reads a prayer about the harvest moon, asking for it to fill the flower with life and bless their land. I'm confused. Why would the flower grow at the dead of night when most plants thrive under the sun? The flower lies lifeless on the ground. Even Courage tried doing some weird ritual to summon the flower back to life. Eustace says that nothing has grown at their farm in years and that it never will. He blames the soil, says he's done trying to make anything grow, stomps whatever remaining life the flower had and retreats back inside. The thing that baffles me is that if nothing has grown on their farm for years, literal decades, how do they even have a farm? They all head back inside and continue their usual activities. Muriel is in the kitchen when she hears an echo-like voice telling her to get out. Like the movie? She turns toward the sound, eyes darting across the room, but there's nothing. Then the voice calls out again, louder this time, sharper, dripping with anger. Suddenly, the kitchen explodes into chaos. Utensils levitate like they're ready for battle. Drawers and cabinets slam open and shut, and food starts coming to life and attack Muriel. What in the paranormal activity is going on in here? Meanwhile, Eustace, being useless, not hearing the commotion downstairs, is taking a bath. Then again, Muriel and Eustace are pushing 80, so maybe their hearing isn't what it used to be. Courage, hearing the screams of Muriel, locks in, channeling his inner Dominic Toretto, and uses a truck to break through the wall to save her. We go back to Eustace, and before he get a nice scrub on, the same voice from earlier tells him to leave. The walls start bulging, water bursts through the cracks, and suddenly Eustace is getting ragged all around like laundry in a rinse cycle. The bathtub and water combined become too heavy and the floors break apart, sending them all to the basement. They all look up to see
Oh my god, what is that? Oh my god! What is that?
a decapitated, glowing, imposing head. The spirit is the source of the voice earlier. He tells them he is the spirit of the harvest moon and explains to them that they have to pack up their shit and leave the farm due to the lack of plant growth. Say less. It's the way I would have got it in that truck and zoomed out of there. Not gonna lie, he's giving off the same energy from Dracula in Castlevania. He gave them people a whole year to evict themselves. The spirit of the harvest moon is telling the Bag family they need to leave tonight. And you know what's wild? The spirit of the harvest moon has been living in the minds of children for the past 24 years. He made his first official appearance back in November 9th, 2001. His face alone scarred me as a child. The fact is just a floating head, no body, eyes so pitch black, is a never-ending void of darkness. His presence was nightmarish and overwhelming for 5-year-old me. Harvey, short for Harvest, wants them gone and blames Eustace for not growing anything on the farm, calling him out because Eustace doesn't respect the land that they live on. But Eustace ignores the booming voice of the spirit and stares at a leaky pipe that's costing him money. Eustace is not showing enough fear for me, because how are you just going to ignore the giant floating head and have more concern about the leaking pipe? Priorities, my guy. And remember earlier when they were outside surrounding the flower, they were doing a prayer for the harvest moon to bless their land. Yeah, he definitely heard y'all prayers and said you have nothing to offer in return. Harvey decides to take their entire farm in compensation. But Harvey isn't heartless. He gives them one more chance. The deal is they have to grow just a single plant, just one, and all is forgiven.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, totally gonna
That's
work.
totally gonna
100%.
By midnight, this big old head is setting them up for failure. What plant you know that grows in a couple of hours? I'm no gardener with a green thumb, but the average plant takes 50 to 120 days to grow and bloom, and you're expecting useless Eustace to grow a plant by midnight? They might as well start packing their things now. What's even more trifling, they don't even have a couple hours. They got less than 10 minutes to revive a dead plant. Eustace, being selfish and letting his pride get the better of him, refuses to grow anything or leave the farm. And then Harvey says there will be consequences if he does nothing. Yes, consequences for him. Leave my Courage and Muriel out of this. Meanwhile, Courage does what he always does.
Help is on the way, dear!
Because unlike a certain farmer, he actually gives a damn. Courage tries several methods of bringing the plant to life, from a heat lamp, playing the violin, a blood transfusion machine. I'll just assume it was water in there and not actual blood, but all of his efforts were in vain. Courage has one final idea and remembers Eustace bitching about the leaking pipe in the basement and rushes back inside the house. But it's too late. The clock has hit midnight. Harvey locks Eustace and Muriel in the basement and raises the temperature to extreme heat where everything begins to melt. Courage, in a panic, tries to go back inside, but everything in the house is locked. Did he forget about the gaping hole he left in the house to save Muriel earlier? He digs a hole into the basement, but the leaking pipe was no good as nothing but sand comes out because of the heat. Courage then sees Eustace sweating and holds the plant under the sweat, and the flower springs back to life. Muriel and surprisingly Courage hype up Eustace for growing the plant, giving him credit when he literally didn't do anything. Harvey appears one last time, stating Eustace might not be such a useless farmer after all, and dips. The House of Discontent really puts a focus on Eustace and was more of a spooky episode than a traumatizing one, but the next Courage episode I'm talking about lives rent-free in all of our heads. Anyone who's a OG Courage Academy dog fan can proudly say King Ramses was nightmare fuel. It all kicks off in the dead of night. A car barrels down a dirt road in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, chased by police, or rather a lone helicopter. No sirens, no squad cars, just the eerie sounds of blades cutting through the dark. And behind the wheel are two cat burglars. Bro, what is Courage even about at this point? I swear, every other week is something new. It could be a supernatural entity, a cockroach from New York, or a chicken from outer space. Anyway, these two cat thieves are being chased because they stole a priceless artifact from someone's grave. Not y'all out here robbing and desecrating the dead. That's how you get cursed for the rest of your life. Feeling the heat from the cops, they decide it's smarter to stash the slab, wait for things to cool off, and come back later to retrieve it. What confuses me even more is that not even a couple of minutes earlier, the cops in the helicopter were hot on their trails, and the cats stopped their car to take out the slab, dig a hole, bury it, and had enough time to go back to their vehicle, and you're telling me the cops didn't see them? Police are never there when you need them. They low-key could have stopped everything that was about to happen next. As the two cats jump back into their car to make their getaway, a thick, unnatural fog starts creeping in, slow, heavy, and wrong. From within the mist, a tall, ominous figure cloaked in shadows rises above their car. In a voice that could freeze blood, he utters one chilling command.
Return the slab.
And they immediately get clapped. A swarm of locusts devour the car and the two cats inside. And if you're wondering where they bury the object they stole, near the water pump that belongs to Courage's family. And of course, the police helicopter with impeccable uselessness completely misses the carnage below and just keeps flying by. Courage, being nosy, decides to be a good boy and mind his business, cause whatever's going on out there has nothing to do with him. Until the next morning, Courage cannot contain his curiosity and digs up the artifact. You know, a part of me wants to be mad at Courage for doing this, but then again I have to remember he's still a dog and isn't their nature to dig up random shit. He brings it back home to Muriel and Useless, and how the artifact contains strange symbols of a mummy, water, a record player, and locusts. Surely these symbols won't come back and haunt them later. Useless, being a hater, calls it garbage and tosses the rock out the window. You know what? For once he actually does something good.
Stupid dog, always bringing garbage into the house.
Actually, I retract my previous statement. Moments later, the Nowhere News interrupts the piece with a breaking story. The stolen artifact from last night, the one snatched by those two dearly departed cat burglars, may they rest in several pieces, is actually worth $1 million. That garbage Useless just threw out is the missing slab of none other than King Ramses himself. The second Useless hears $1 million, that man turns into the Flash and sprints outside, grabs the slab like it's a winning lottery ticket, and suddenly he's all smiles, calling in his ticket to fortune. Meanwhile, Muriel, being the little angel on his shoulder, tries to talk sense into him, saying they need to return it since it was stolen. But CouRAGE, the only one paying attention, notices something chilling. The first symbol, the one with the mummy, has quietly vanished from the slab's surface. Thankfully, Nigel Thornberry's distant cousin comes by to retrieve the slab and take it off their hands. CouRAGE starts hitting that Nicki Minaj speech, begging for Useless to give the slab back. Useless, bringing out his inner Mr. Krabs, asks,
"What's your offer?"
The man offers some rusty old tote bag, and Useless slams the door in his face, refusing to give up the slab. My thing is, if old dude with the immaculate thick mustache knows the slab is at CouRAGE's crib, why didn't he, I don't know, call the authorities and tell them the slab is at the farm and his crotchety old man won't give it up? Useless later on that night is having a Smeagol moment, drooling over all the things he's gonna buy with his $1 million. Then out of nowhere, a thunderous boom shakes the door. Useless, being the man of the house, goes outside to see what's making all that noise. It was this scene that traumatized a generation. The moment that lives rent-free in our heads. The moment that we all felt genuine fear and paranoia after watching this episode. It was when he appeared.
Return the slab.
Useless looks like he just shat his pants at the very sight of King Ramses. Ramses stands there all tall and pale, a 3D phantom dropped in a 2D world, glitching and moving like something that never belonged. He's dressed in rags, hairline clinging to those 3 strands of existence. What makes Ramses so terrifying to me is that he's so off-putting in the best possible way. Just looking at him feels wrong, the way he moves, the emptiness in his face, the stiff, unnatural gestures, and he barely even speaks. Yet that hollow monotone, "Return the slab," has been living in all our brains ever since. The fact that he is voiced by the creator himself, John R. Dilworth, makes it even more legendary. The king himself has one simple demand, just one. If Useless doesn't return the slab, he'll be struck by 3 plagues, each one worse than the last. Oh! He's on some Moses type of timing. Useless, thinking about all the Benjamins he'll get, strikes up a deal with the undead pharaoh, and Ramses, with a stern expression, just stares in irritation. Useless slams the door in his face and believes it's the mustache man from earlier in the skies. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, Useless greed and pride is about to get his family clapped. Again. The moment Useless slams that door, the first plague is activated and disappears from the slab. The king is not to be taken lightly and starts to flood their home. And Useless Eustace, instead of just returning the slab, he's crouching on the floor with a snorkel, clutching the tablet to his chest like it's his baby. Sir, I know you don't give 2 shits about CouRAGE, but your wife is about to drown. CouRAGE, being CouRAGE, swims all the way down to the basement and pulls the plug to drain the water. But this ain't over. Remember, they only survived 2 out of 4 plagues. How does Ramses respond to this disrespect?
Oh, come on.
Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I don't know what it is about this particular scene from Ramses that makes me giggle. It's the way he puts his hands on his hips like a disappointed dad. He looks like this dude right here. It's such a comedic moment from a guy that's trying to kill our main protagonist. It gets me every time. That little "aw, come on" delivery really eases the tension and makes his character a bit fun. Useless once again bargains an offer for the slab, and Ramses responds in kind with the second plague activating in the symbol phase from the slab, and suddenly we are cursed with the defining wails of the man in gauze.
The man in gauze, the man in gauze. The man in gauze, the man in gauze.
At first, when I was a kid, I had no idea what they were saying, but fortunately my mama translated for me and it still confused me. King Ramses really thought his next plague is dropping this fire of a masterpiece? It's hilarious in retrospect. Ramses considered this to be worse than flooding an entire house? It feels like he was trying to play his demo for someone, no matter the scenario, as long as someone is listening. This part always dissipated any fear I had for this episode. Best believe someone out in the world made a Jersey Club remix of this joint. The reason it's so torturous for the Bag family is the high-pitched ringing, the endless repetition, and the fact that the lyrics seem to loop forever. It's like blasting Taylor Swift's Life of a Showgirl at maximum volume for eternity. Useless, once again being a selfish human being and husband, plugs his ears with cotton and leaves Muriel suffering through the sonic hellscape. How these two never got divorced is crazy to me. Courage finds the source of the noise behind the boulder, destroying the record player and ending the plague. You would think after the house flooded and nearly becoming death, he will return the slab, but Useless, still being hard-headed, refuses to do so without getting paid. So you telling me money is more important to you than your wife, dog, house, and life? Useless, for the last time, demands millions from Ramses in exchange for the slab, and just like clockwork, the king unleashes his third and final plague, the locust. Out of all three, this one is by far the most nightmarish. Imagine a swarm of bugs descending on you, hundreds, thousands, moving as one living shadow. And yes, these are the exact same locusts that devoured the cat burglars last night. The storm of locusts devoured everything in their path, and Courage wrestles with Eustace for the slab. It isn't until the swarm has devoured half the house that Eustace finally pauses, realizing maybe this cursed artifact isn't worth dying for. Meanwhile, Muriel is out here stress baking. Oh, this poor woman is going through it. Courage finally has the slab and tosses that mug out of field with only a smidge of the house remaining. And you know what's even more crazy? Courage doesn't stand a chance against Ramses by himself. Compared to other antagonists in the show like Cats, the Cajun Fox, the Chicken from Outer Space, and many more, he at least has a good probability of winning against these bozos. But with Ramses, he's got the power of literal gods. Useless, still thinking about all them Benjamins, snatches up the slab and starts gloating to Ramses that he used up all three of his plagues and he's out of ammo, and so by default the slab is rightfully his. King Ramses hears the collective outrage of fans everywhere, and just like that, he resummons the third plague. Honestly, music to my ears. The episode closes with the house in ruins, Muriel and Courage just chilling on the chair, completely unbothered that Useless got ate up and out of sight. They watch the news with the mustache man reporting that the slab has been safely returned to the pharaoh's tomb in Egypt and will remain protected for all time. In a final ironic twist, the last shot shows Useless himself being perched on top the slab, replacing Ramses as punishment for his greed, yelling,
What's your offer?
Does that mean Ramses is just roaming around free selling his mixtape of The Man in Gauze? Funny enough, if you really think about it, King Ramses isn't that bad of a guy. I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out. He only becomes hostile when you take his slab. It all started with the cat thieves that stole it from his tomb. If someone simply has it, he politely asks for it to be returned to him. It's only when they refuse that he unleashes his curses. When Eustace kept the slab, Courage and Muriel were affected as well. Yes, they were collateral damage, but once Eustace left the house, still refusing to return it, Ramses' wrath only targeted him and him alone. I guess that goes to show that Ramses preferred to punish the guilty. Even more telling, the Bag family who stumbled upon the slab by pure accident were given multiple chances to return it. The actual thieves, however, got zero mercy. In other words, Ramses isn't just terrifying, he's fair in his own horrifying supernatural way. Well, these are the two episodes that had me trouble sleeping when I was a kid and lived in my mind for the past 20 years without paying any rent. The other two that disturbed my mental psyche was the Perfection episode and the Remembrance of Courage Past that had me bawling my eyes out. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update, and let me know in the comments below what episode of Courage scares you the most. And if you guys really like this video, I'll do a whole series just discussing all the villains in Courage, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.